The Las Vegas Raiders have suddenly made more free agency moves. People have been critical of the fact that there's been no big signings, only signing a few key pieces here and there, but the Raiders address the offensive side of the football and also defense. And it starts by replacing Darren Waller, the man whose wedding was ruined by Josh McDaniels. Needs to be replaced because he was sent to the New York Giants for a third-round pick. We'll see if that turns out to be a good move, but the Raiders are grabbing an insurance policy here with OJ Howard, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, recently with the Houston Texans. And OJ Howard was drafted in 2017 from the Alabama Crimson Tide in the first round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was there for a long time. We know he played with Tom Brady. Maybe Tom Brady gave a suggestion to Josh McDaniels and said, hey, OJ Howard would be a good bridge tight end until you find the next great guy, because this guy's been in the league for about 6 years right now, 2 touchdowns last year. 2020 with Brady was sort of backing up Gronk, and they have Cameron Brate there as well. So he only had 146 yards and 2 touchdowns, but we've seen the production when Jameis Winston was at quarterback in Tampa Bay, 565 yards, 459 yards as well. And that 5 TDs, 6 TDs, seems like he did have a lot of production early on in his career, just sort of been cast in the shadows with all these new replacements at the tight end position with Tampa Bay. And obviously, if you're on the Houston Texans last year, you can't expect yourself to have too great of numbers on the Houston Texans last year. But I do expect the Raiders to still address the tight end position in the draft. I like Luke Musgrave coming out of Oregon State if you want that receiving tight end, and also Darnell Washington out of Georgia if you need a bigger body blocking tight end. I think that could be a good prospect. And the Raiders are finally addressing the defensive line, and this could be a replacement for Malcolm Kuntz. We know Josh McDaniels sort of chewed out Malcolm Kuntz last year during practice. That was a famous video. But the Raiders have signed Jordan Willis right here, edge defender coming out of San Francisco. And this guy will primarily play the edge. He really is a 4-3 defensive end. That's what this guy is. Rarely ever plays inside, even if you're in a sub defense, always lined up outside the tackle. So I think this guy is going to be a good backup for somebody like Crosby, somebody like Chandler Jones. And we'll see what happens to Chandler Jones. Keep in mind, the way the contract is written, the Raiders could move on from Chandler Jones next season and not eat too much in dead money and still overall save cap space. And Jordan Willis, a really athletic guy, 4.5 40-yard dash time, even though he is 270 pounds, pretty good time there. Going to be interesting to see what he can do. Only roughly 200 snaps last year with the Niners. Some of these guys could be special teams guys as well. Jordan Willis should be great at special teams because he famously blocked a punt in the NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers. You see this here with all the crazy weather. He tells a story about this crazy blocked punt that was returned for a touchdown by the safety Hufanga. And hey, Jimmy Garoppolo gets a familiar face who was in the Niners locker room. But Jordan Willis was still able to pick up 5 sacks over the past 2 years on the Niners defense. And if you can make your way to the rotation of the Niners defensive line, I think you're doing something right. And I hate to say that as a Raiders fan. And the Raiders are also helping out their special teams by signing Bills safety Jaquan Johnson to a 1-year contract. This guy is going to play free safety. That's what he did primarily last year with the Buffalo Bills. Even though he's more of a special teams guy, you still saw him out there having to fill in key games. For instance, against the Steelers, he played the majority of time, along with the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. And against the Chicago Bears, even though he only played 5 snaps, was still able to get an interception towards the end of the season. He's been in the league for 4 years, primarily with the Buffalo Bills. Gonna play free safety, former Miami Hurricane. Nice. Former 6th-round pick as well. 27 years old. I think this is a good signing. We know the Raiders let Duron Harmon and also Jonathan Abram walk. So really at the safety position, they only have Marcus Epps, Trayvon Merring, and now Jaquan Johnson right now. They also have Isaiah Polamau, re-signed Roderick Teamer, and I guess they have Jalen Elliott, another signing still on the team right now. Well, overall, these signings don't change too much on the defensive side of the football, since Jordan Willis is just a depth signing along with Johnson, but this does change the offense a little bit. We have OJ Howard there and Horsted as our tight ends. Nothing too big yet, but still trying to cover the basis of the roster before we we enter the draft, but it has been quite disappointing. It seems like everybody else is making deals in the NFL and the Raiders are not. You even saw a great safety, Jaquan Johnson, go for about $8 million a year. That would have been a great pickup for the Raiders, but the Raiders seem to be making like depth piece moves and looking forward to the draft to sort of fix all their needs. And to me, that spells rebuild or building, in my opinion. And I wonder how certain players feel about that on the team, because when you're waiting until the future, wait until the draft to address all your needs, it just shows you have a long-term plan. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think some players join this team expecting the team to go all in last year or this year. But the Raiders draft in 2021, when you really look outside of Alex Leatherwood, not too bad of a draft. Trayvon Merrick, Malcolm Kuntz, Divine Diablo, Gillespie, he floated around the NFL. Nate Hobbs, that's a great steal. Jimmy Morrissey, was a quality lineman for the Texans for a little bit. And you look at the last draft, Dylan Parham, great pickup. Zamir White, still don't know if that was really worth it there. We'll see how that turns out. Didn't really get a chance to play because Jacobs, was running the show last year in the running game, and the same with Britton Brown. But then Thayer Mumford, I think that's a quality pickup in the 7th round. Butler and Farrell Jr., we're gonna still need to find out about. So just looking at what the Raiders have done over the past 2 years, 2022, the Ziegler McDaniels draft, 2021, the Gruden, Mike Mayock draft, and Alex Leatherwood, I think we still have to find out how he's gonna do with the Bears. He might have some success there. They picked him up for a reason. And if we still had Tom Cable, who knows what would have happened with that guy? Really, we don't really know. But the rest of these pickups are good. And really, this is going to be the first true draft for the Raiders general manager and Josh McDaniels, because they have the 1st round pick. They have the 2nd round pick. We'll see how they do. And people are going to be awaiting the results, especially when you're not making big moves in free agency. Let's hope they pull it off. Either way, like this video if you have not yet, and subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.